I'm going to talk about how I improvise over giant steps. Hopefully, this will maybe make it seem a little less scary if this is intimidating. Um, for contrast, what you may have been taught as an exercise is to play 1, 2, 3, 5 over every single chord and improvise using those notes. I think the main reason why that's such a common approach is because that seems like it's pretty similar to kind of what Coltrane is thinking about, what he's doing when he solos over this in the original recording. But Coltrane was obviously a genius. Maybe what works for geniuses as intuitive and easy is not necessarily the easiest for the rest of us mortals. So I'm going to talk about how I improvise over this, and I think it's a little bit easier than that. Um, and it's really pretty straightforward, but there's a lot I can talk about that I think will be helpful. So let's check it out. So a lot of chords here. We have 3 keys. We only have 3 keys. So if you can master switching back and forth between these 3 keys easily, it's a little bit weird because it's sometimes we modulate in the middle of a measure. So sometimes the timing is a little bit off, but you never um, are going to play. You're never going to have less than 4 consecutive beats of a given key. So hopefully that you'll find that helpful. It's, you know, you don't have to think like, oh, every 2 beats there's something different. 2 beats is not a lot of time. 4 beats is a little bit more time. So what I think about is practicing switching back and forth between these 3 keys quickly and easily, and then just just making sure to work on that timing, switching at the right time. And it's not a long form. So once you start to get the hang of it, practice it over and over again, and it starts to become easier. So let's be specific about these 3 keys. So first of all, we have B, right? Now, that's just 2 beats, right? Because then we go to D7. But actually, we were already in B. If you go back to um, the end of the form, there's a turnaround to B. So we actually have 6 beats of B. Now we have 4 beats, 4 beats of G, 5-1, 6 beats of E flat, and then I'm going to underline this because it goes to the next 6 beats of G. That's 2-5-1 in G. 4 beats of E flat. Oh, my pen doesn't like writing sideways. 6 beats of B flat. I mean B, sorry. And then we have a 2-5-1. That's 8 beats. The second half's easier. That's a 2-5-1 to E flat. It's all in E flat. This is a 2-5-1 in G, so that's all G. 2-5-1 in B natural, and then 2-5-1 in E flat. So what are our keys? B, G, and E flat. That's it. You only need to know B, G, and E flat. B, G, E flat, G, E flat, B, E flat, G, B, E flat. And then we're back to B. So that's a mouthful, but it's only 3 keys. Let's practice this slowly. And at first, don't worry about treating the 5s differently from the 1s and treating the 2 5s differently from the 1s. At first, let's just practice improvising using those scales. And all the normal things that we've talked about are available to us when we improvise using scales. We can use chromatics and closures. Check out my videos on all these concepts if you want to get better with using scales, patterns, things like that. But we only need to master 3 scales and 3 keys and switching back and forth between them. I'll run through it one more time. B, G, E flat, G, E flat, B, E flat, G flat, B, E flat, and then we're back to B. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about ways to get a little bit more complicated and start to address some of these specific individual chords uniquely, in addressing like the 5, as its own chord, for example. We'll talk about that in a future video. But one last thing I'm going to say conceptually about the most basic approach. This is sort of one thing I've talked about in another video, which is that when you use the 5 pentatonic of whatever key you're in, it's super useful. And it sounds pretty cool. Check it out. Not a lot of people do this. I do it. I think it sounds pretty cool. But what we're talking about here is like, so for the B, think about playing an F sharp pentatonic. So it's 3 pentatonics that we need to understand, that we need to be really comfortable with. And all this is we're taking the 1 and the 4 note, the 1 note and the 4 note out of each major scale. And that's what leaves you with the 5 pentatonic. So if you think about playing major scales for these keys, think about just taking the 1 and the 4 out of each major scale, and then you're left with these cool pentatonics. So that's F sharp pentatonic, D pentatonic, B flat pentatonic, just those three, and then in different orders: B flat pentatonic, F sharp pentatonic, B flat pentatonic, D pentatonic, F sharp pentatonic, B flat pentatonic, F sharp pentatonic. So just F sharp pentatonic, B flat pentatonic, and D pentatonic. Practice switching back and forth between those 3 pentatonic scales, or think of it as the scales of the 1 chord in each section. So instead of thinking about all these different chords, think about these blocks. And I think you'll find that to be a little bit easier. It gives you a little bit more time to work with each scale that you're using. And I think that you'll find that that's just a little bit easier than trying to think about every single chord individually, especially right off the bat when you're first learning the song. Try to make things as easy for yourself as possible when something like this is new to you. So I'll do a little demonstration, and just so you know what it sounds like when we use just the scales of each key that you're in. And I'm not even going to do any other fancy stuff. I'm just going to do the very basics, just playing those scales.